I can't. It's too big.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?
Is that a Muppet? Well, technically yes. But no, it is a puppet of the Yoda, Master Yoda. Welcome everyone to Rodian Radio. Tonight we are going to be doing a deep dive, discussion, breakdown, and history of The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 5 from 1980. Yeah, the first movie that introduced Grandmaster Yoda. Of course, it was a puppet, but, you know, it was the best that they could do back at the time, and I have no problem with the puppet Yoda. But, welcome everyone to another episode of Rodian Radio. Tonight we, like I said, we're going to do a breakdown and deep dive of The Empire Strikes Back. A lot of people say this is their favorite Star Wars movie. However, for me, it is Return of the Jedi, but I really do love The Empire Strikes Back. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, tonight we're going to break down some Empire Strikes Back. We've got some news and some Today in Star Wars history to go over, so I'm not going to do it by myself tonight. Tonight I am with my good friend, Mr. Danny Cruz.
Hello, everybody.
Good to be back here, and happy May the 4th to everybody. Now, if you're listening to this, it's obviously going to be May the 6th, but this is a May the 4th Rodian Radio special. But we're going to get started here, and we're going to do Today in Star Wars history. Today in Star Wars history. Today in Star Wars history, on this day, in 1999, all you toy collectors, get ready for this one. Hasbro's first collection release of the Phantom Menace figures was released on this day in 1999.
Can you believe that? Almost
That's
23 years ago.
Crazy. But yeah, that was the first collection release of the Phantom Menace. That for today. Now we're going to get into some Star Wars news.
Good news for you, my lord.
All right, Star Wars news for today. First off here, let's see. We've got a well, first of all, we got some Rodian Radio news. We have a new logo for all of our social medias. I don't know if anybody pays attention to our logo or not, but we do have a new logo. This logo is going to be on future merchandise if everything works out. And I do apologize if you're listening to audio on or YouTube. The audio may be a little spotty at times. We've had 30 minutes worth of technical difficulties.
Yeah,
so
just fixing back and forth, people. We're trying.
No scripts. That's how we roll here. So if you have, if you like to listen to podcasts who don't have scripts, this is the perfect show for you. And if you have somebody at work who is a Star Wars fan, you don't know if they listen to Rodian Radio, tell them about us. Honestly, stuff. I mean that's how we make our money here. Is just hot takes and rant. Okay, so new logo out of the way. Next we have some Rodian Radio exclusive. If I can get these stinking notifications to quit coming up on my phone. I apologize if anybody can hear these notifications coming up on my phone. Can you hear them, Danny?
No, I actually can't.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. All right, so we have some Rodian Radio exclusive news. We've got, so this past weekend, I was at ICCCon in Nashville, Tennessee, and Ian McDermott was there. Yes, Palpatine himself. And he was in a panel, and he gave some information out. he says, just paraphrasing here, but he said Palpatine may or may not be on Disney Plus in the future. You said it better than anybody else could, Danny. You said Disney can't get enough of him.
Yeah, like exactly what I said. When you told me that, I was like, of course.
Yeah, somehow Palpatine is coming to
returns.
Disney Plus.
Somehow.
So, and obviously we all want to say, oh, Kenobi. But what if he's in Bad Batch 2?
Maybe.
I mean, he didn't say animated or live action, from my understanding. He just said maybe or maybe not. We might see Palpatine. So, man, what a month for Star Wars. This is Star Wars month. We've got May the 4th. We've got Kenobi coming out. We've got Star Wars Celebration. Just, this is crazy. I've done seeing all of the memes about, Revenge of the 5th, I Am the 7th, and now I've seen it all. Now there's Mando saying, this is the May.
This is the May.
That is a good one, and it's very suitable. This is the May. All right, so next up on our news here, I came across this article today by Polygon. I'm not familiar with this site, but the person who wrote the article, from my understanding, is Tasha Robertson. I don't know how reasonable this source is. Like I said, I've never heard of this website. Yeah. But they wrote a new article saying, I've got a bad echo coming off of your side, Danny.
Are you?
Yeah. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay, sounds good right now. Right now. All right, so they wrote a new article saying, oh boy, it pains me to even say this. More or less, and I quote, her article says, move over, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Luke Skywalker, and make room for the next generation. She says, Star Wars needs new characters and to stop focusing on recycled characters.
Recycled?
Yeah, recycled.
All right, so somebody needs to burn and delete that article. Because Star Wars has literally been doing that for the past 40-something years.
Yeah.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
What did we do? They gave it a shot, and then we had Rey.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The sequels, they did the same thing. They started these new characters, but they had old characters in them. If it wasn't for the old characters, the sequels would be even more of a dumpster fire than they are today.
It's a spiraling circle of nonsense and just a bad combo.
Like I said, I don't know how resourceful this article is or probably this website, but they need to stop talking about Star Wars because Star Wars is made from recycled characters. And I don't even want to call them recycled characters.
They're not even recycled. It's just characters that people grew up at. Boba Fett, had 6 lines, and people were in love with him to this day, even after the horror.
And I think total he had maybe barely 7 minutes of screen time throughout all 3 films.
And then people were absolutely in love with it.
Yeah. So that is that. I feel like I need to go take a shower because that made me feel gross saying that. Okay, so the last bit of news we got here is we've got, now this is a few weeks old, but I just recently came across it. Giancarlo Esposito was on a talk show podcast. I can't remember the name of the podcast he was on, but they asked him questions about Mandalorian Season 3. And I've got the audio clip here. We're going to play it and then talk about it. So we'll play that and we'll talk about it after we get done listening.
Yeah.
When do I and my children, the whole family, get more Mandalorian.
You'll get it soon. You'll get it soon. I've got a few things to do in regard to that, to put some finishing touches on what I do.
Okay.
But I believe it'll be sometime this summer. No date set yet, but coming soon.
Okay. How? Again, I'm just assuming, but when the Star Wars folks, whoever that might be, or Disney folks, reach out to you and say, "Would you like to be the evil character in The Mandalorian, in the Star Wars over the first television show based on it?" How quickly do you say yes to that?
Oh my goodness. Jon Favreau called me, said I have good news and bad news. I said, what's the good news? He said, I wrote a role for you in Mandalorian, specifically for you. And I said, wow, fantastic. What's the bad news? The bad news is all the money's going on the screen. And I said, is there more good news? How about back end, baby? And he said to me, Disney's doing it. Wow, I have nothing but great things to say about this studio, about this franchise,
Yes.
In regard to how they have enlightened our children to mythology and to what's right and how to go about doing what's right, how to be in service. The Mandalorian is service. And thankfully, I've been on another job in New York, and pandemic hit, things have gotten backed up, and they have waited for me with such wonderful love and respect for me to come back and do what I do and love to do. So this is a great show. You say yes, and then you say, I've got one caveat, John. He's like, oh, what's that? I said, I must have a cape.
Okay, so Giancarlo, I would not take what he says to heart because we've not seen anything from Mando Season 3. There's no way it's coming out this summer. Unless...
I thought he was talking about the trailer.
Well, from that clip, he says... The guy asks him, when can we see Mando Season 3? And he says, this summer, late summer, no date yet.
If there is... That's I think that would be the first season where it's not in the fall.
Well, the only way I see that happening is either we see a trailer late summer.
We see a trailer tomorrow.
Or we see a trailer May the 4th. Mm-hmm. And then we get Mando Season 3 the end of July. That's the only way I see this happening. And I don't think Disney's going to mess up their scheduling by releasing live action shows outside of Kenobi in the winter.
You know what? They could actually change. They could be doing something else with the shift. It doesn't always have to be the entertainment side. Like something could pop up with, like maybe, like the parks are doing something. Definitely, if it does come out, say August 12th. I'm just saying a number because it came out November 12th for season 1 of The Mandalorian. Who knows? It could be something like that. But if it does, that's great. And I have confidence that it's going to do well. It's basically like...
I mean, come on. It's The Mandalorian. Everybody's going to love it.
I'm not trying to set high expectations. I got to see how Kenobi goes first.
I think by Disney Plus changing Kenobi from Wednesday to a Friday, I think they learned their lesson with Boba Fett, and they want to stick to Fridays and not Wednesdays. Yeah, I think Wednesday is a Marvel thing.
Everyone's got to watch work in the middle, in the middle of the week. It should definitely be a weekend thing or a Monday thing. I
think Marvel should stick to Wednesdays and Star Wars should stick to Fridays. I think that would be the best option to take because you still got that day gap in between each franchise.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think they learned their lesson with the whole disaster Boba Fett was and how much backlash it got. I think they learned their lesson. They're like, hey, Mr. CEO, Disney Plus, we don't need to do Wednesdays anymore for Star Wars because Star Wars fans are crazy. They're knocking down my door. They're setting fires on my cars out here. It's like, we thought Boba Fett was a good idea.
Like a panther.
Yeah, and Tim Morrison's back there. I told you, I'm talking too much.
Yeah, he could. That's a whole other conversation.
When the star of the show tells you, hey, my character is talking too much, you should listen to him, especially to somebody like Tim Morrison, been Boba Fett and Jango Fett for now 2 decades.
And clones.
And clones.
And he was the voice of the clones too for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was the voice for the Clone Troopers back in the old Battlefront games. I mean, he's been in Star Wars for 2 decades plus, and they're not going to listen to what he says about a character as iconic as Boba Fett. Like, come on, Disney, come on! Like, I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know if it was a marketing decision. I don't know if it was. It could be a whole number of different things. We don't know, but I think they learned their lesson with Boba Fett. So, but that's all the news that we. Oh, and he also talks about. Giancarlo says that he was in New York on another project, but they waited for him to start filming him in The Mandalorian. The other project I want to say was Better Call Saul. I know their last season has just came out, so he was probably in the middle of filming that. But in this interview, I think he's talking about Mando season 1. I think he's talking about his time on that, and I love the fact how he's like, and I told Favreau, there's got to be one thing, I need a cape. That's hilarious.
Of course, all supervillains have capes.
Yes, and Giancarlo Esposito, man, I love that guy. You know, anything he's in, I love it.
He has the voice.
He is. He plays the perfect villain. I loved Breaking Bad. I love Gus Fring, his character in that. I love Gus Fring in Better Call Saul. I love him as Moff Gideon. He's been in quite a few things, and like everything he's in, he plays the villain. I think he was made to play villains. Even Far Cry in a video game, he was the main villain.
Far Cry 6.
So, but we love Giancarlo. But I came across that the other day. Wanted to put it in here as some news. It's not that old. It's about 3 weeks old. So, all right. So we get into the big chunk of May the 4th special here. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. Lego Shock 0451 official on Instagram, Commander Phoenix _88 Legion on Instagram, and Dr. Awesome 1010 on Instagram. Big thanks to all 3 of them. They are wonderful sponsors. If you
room for more.
Yes, if you would like to become a sponsor of Rodian Radio, it is completely free. Just send us an email at RodianradioPC@gmail.com. If you have any questions about it, basically what it is you help support our show and share us out with each episode, and in return we give you free shout outs on every episode, and we upload, if you're a toy photographer or a customizer or you draw, we upload your artwork on our YouTube videos for people to see your work, and we put your tags in them, whether you're on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever. So it is completely free. If you have questions about it, hesitations about it, it's completely free. No money involved. Just send us an email, RodianradioPC@gmail.com. It's completely free. And maybe for our 1-year anniversary, we may send a little gift to all of our sponsors if we have the time and budget. Since it's such short notice, we're coming up. We have 1 month away from our 1-year Rodian Radio. 1 month away.
A lot's changed.
A lot. If you would have told me a year ago, hey, Rodian Radio in a year from now is going to have Dominic Pace, Skylar Bible, Richard Stride, Ray Kinnix, press access to a Star Wars convention to get, an all exclusive information that's not leaked out to the general public, and our special guest of this show tonight, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have looked at you and been like, there's no way I can accomplish all this in a year. But here we are, and it's all thanks to you guys, and don't want to brag on ourselves, but we bust our chops doing this show, really, because we've had so much technical difficulties in the past hour of recording this one show that we've had to make about 5 different recording sessions just to get it through. So a big thanks to everybody listening, and we're 24/7 on YouTube, 24/7 on podcast platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple. There's a few smaller ones, I believe. Just share us out. If the only way to help us grow, number one way to help us grow, keep listening and tell your friends about Rodian Radio. So
the one and only.
One and only. This is the place for Star Wars fans.
It is.
And you know why? It's because we're Star Wars fans ourselves. And we know what we're talking about. And we care about this community.
We really do. We're not really capping what we say sometimes. Sometimes we do, but we say, like, for those like jokes and stuff like that. But when we're being serious, like for Kenobi show, I'm pretty sure, like we're going to have our predictions and stuff, but we're going to be realistic about them. Like we say why we think the way it is, and we're not going to be like, Jar Jar is going to show up, like things like that. And for example, we said that in Kenobi, obviously it's highly likely that Vader will show up. And then I
watch him not be in the whole show, like Vader not even be there, and he's just a hologram.
That's the biggest tease we will ever see, and that's kind of like hating on Hayden Christensen, like because it's like you had the pieces, you had the playbook, you had the whole staff, and you blew it.
Yeah, like Boba Fett. Boba Fett was a great idea. It was.
Yeah.
But they executed it horribly.
Yeah, too many. I worry a lot because when they change directors between every single episode, it makes it very complicated because every director has their own unique style of like producing a movie or a show, and it's like it's hard for the next person coming up to like kind of like exceed those expectations or like kind of change it. And you do see the differences between each episode. Like the Dave Filoni episode, I'll never forget the Mandalorian season 2 Dave Filoni episode. Yes. With Ahsoka, of course it had to be.
Yes, of course. Like, who else would direct that episode?
Like if it was somebody else, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It worked with Mandalorian and Mandalorian season 2 having multiple directors. I think they got overconfident, and they did it with Boba Fett, and it failed. One thing that I have a problem with is they gave too many episodes to Robert Rodriguez.
Please no. I think he was only good that one scene they introduced Boba Fett. I give him credit for that, but after like everything else, like it was such like a disappointment in my opinion.
I mean, if you think about it, Dave Filoni directed the Ahsoka episode in Mando season 2. I'm pretty sure he directed the first episode of Mando season 1. And he directed Book of Boba Fett episode 6. Those 3 are better than all of those shows wrapped up into one episode.
True.
And look who directed it. Dave Filoni. Cowboy hat man himself.
I hope they give him a movie. I hope they give him I don't care if it's a 1 movie contract.
Oh man.
1 movie contract, 1 and done.
If he is not the sole director of the Ahsoka series, I'm going to be genuinely terrified.
It's honestly, I feel like anybody else. I feel like Bryce Dallas Howard does really well. Like
yes, she does. Director. And Jon Favreau does good at writing.
Yeah, he's more of a writer than it. I don't mean to bash on him, but he has really good writing creativity. But I feel like he's only had a few films that were good directed by him.
Yeah, I think Jon Favreau is the writer and Dave Filoni is the director. I think that's how it should be.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's how it should be. It sounds like we got a special guest.
We do. We have a special guest, Pookie. He's just watching the house.
So one last bit of news here before we move into the Empire Strikes Back breakdown for May the 4th. Samuel L. Jackson. I know a lot of people want to see Mace Windu come back. Mace Windu would be great to come back, but only if they did it right. I feel like Kenobi would be the only place he should come back in.
I still don't believe it.
Unless it was Bad Batch Season 2. I'm fine with either way. But Samuel L. Jackson did say, I think he was on a late night show or something a few weeks ago. He said that he has been talking to Bryce Dallas Howard about putting Mace Windu back into Star Wars.
Okay.
So, and I feel like Samuel L. Jackson is the perfect age for them to bring him in the Empire era of Star Wars. I would like to see a crazy Mace. I don't want to see no Jedi business Mace. I want to see old hermit crazy Mace.
Yeah.
I want to see Mace Windu as Luke Skywalker was in The Last Jedi.
That's a role that makes sense. But I believe it won't be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. It'll be Luke.
I don't know. If we see Liam Neeson in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, that tells me they've got a big enough pocketbook to buy Samuel L. Jackson to put him in Star Wars.
Of course they do. George would be like,
Need more Gungans.
Sam.
Yeah, we're thinking about bringing Mace back.
Want the purple lightsaber again?
Yeah. We don't know what we're gonna do yet, but this is all a headache, anyways. What's the point? Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to our main topic.
Yes. Main topic here. Empire Strikes Back. Breakdown and history and facts of everything about... Now, I wouldn't say everything. I didn't write down every little tiny bit and piece of this movie, but I wrote down major points of this movie.
Yeah.
And so first, go ahead.
I just want to start off. Whether you're a original, sequel, or prequel fan, The Empire Strikes Back has been one of the most revolutionary films in the history of cinema, and I'll get to it, and 2, in Star Wars history.
Hands down, I think Empire Strikes Back is one of the best well-made movies of all time.
Best well-made sequels of all time.
And sequels. And Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Mm.
But I feel like Empire Strikes Back was more well executed than any other movie. Sequel especially.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. With Return of the Jedi, I think my favorite part about the Return of the Jedi was the whole Jabba the Hutt scene. And the fight between Vader and
we can't forget about Boba Fett.
Where's Boba? Yeah, honestly, the Ewoks, I wasn't really into it. I was just like, okay, whatever. It's a Star Wars thing. It's a Star Wars thing. That's why I accepted it. But anyways, let's talk about Empire.
Yes, Empire Strikes Back. So Empire Strikes Back was the first Star Wars movie to ever have a number put beside it, and which created the whole trilogy. Mm-hmm. No other Star Wars movie. Of course, A New Hope was the only Star Wars movie and made before Empire Strikes Back, and the holiday special. Can't forget about the holiday special. They were both
Chase
made before Empire Strikes Back.
Chase will never, ever let.
Okay, look. Now you done got me started. If you have not seen the holiday special, every Star Wars fan should watch the holiday special at least once. You can find it on YouTube. It's not that great quality, but it's the only way you can watch it because that movie was such a disaster that George Lucas even had them chunk every copy in the garbage. So it's like impossible to find, but you can watch it on YouTube at a very low quality. But I think every Star Wars fan should watch it at least once. I mean, it was the first time we were ever introduced into Boba Fett, cinematically wise. Of course, he was animated in that. But The Empire Strikes Back gave us Boba Fett for the first time in live action.
Did.
So,
anyways, with Empire, what
did you say vampire?
I said with the Empire.
The Vampire Strikes Back?
No, there's no Dracula in it. If you guys were wondering. But yeah, the Empire Strikes Back, it had...
They want to use the Force.
He's talking about the one from the Muppets? Or no, Sesame Street?
No, that's the Count.
The Count, from Sesame Street.
1, 2, 3...
I remember watching that before I used to go to school.
Look, people, there's no script to this. Look, now we're talking about Sesame Street and Star Wars mixed.
But anyways, that I feel like the difference between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, they had a different tone to them. What I liked about Empire was that they started off on a new planet. They didn't end off on Endor. They didn't start from there. It was like we were just in the middle of something that, in a way, we already knew that there was a lot going on. It wasn't like because I feel like the span between it. Somebody's gonna roast me for this, but between New Hope and Empire, like I feel like those were maybe like a year or two, or a year,
maybe a year at most.
Maybe a year. I think
because at that time Han had already became a general.
General. So
Yeah. So
unless their rankings don't mean anything.
well, it is the rebellion. There's like 50 people to his name. So
yeah, that's true. But yeah, it had a different tone. And another thing, George Lucas did not expect Star Wars New Hope to be a success. He thought it would just make it. It was like he thought it was an independent film.
To this day, I'm still upset that Chewbacca never got his medal.
Oh please, that's not the least important thing to me. But yeah. So, the thing about The Empire Strikes Back was that it was actually started off as a disaster because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Mark Hamill actually got into a really bad car accident that disfigured his face, and
they actually kept it.
They did.
They kept it in the movie when he's in the Wampa cave. All those scars on his face, that was because he had an accident.
Yeah. And then I remember my mom was telling me that because she saw New Hope, and then when it came out in theaters for Empire Strikes Back, she said that wasn't Mark Hamill. She thought,
it is.
She thought that that they replaced him. And I was like, really? That's something I didn't know. So yeah, but originally, so George Lucas and the studio was tripping because, their main star, Luke Skywalker, he's out of commission. Like, they can't have him in Empire. But
he was like, George, I was trying to go to Tashi Station, pick up some power converters, and I got sideswiped.
Yeah, it was. Luckily, he was okay. Like, because imagine if something really, really bad happened to him. Like, who knows what happened to Star Wars? We would never have what we have today.
Nope.
But yeah, luckily everything was okay.
Yeah, so they kept his scars and they included him in the Wampa scene.
And I think they kind of like used his accident as an advantage to like use that Wampa scene.
Yes.
To like show that.
And it was a perfect way to introduce a Wampa. Mm-hmm. Because that one scene tells you that Wampas are very, very vicious creatures in Star Wars.
Yeah, and it was the first time you actually see not the first time because they did it in New Hope, but like blood, like with the snow, like it's very visible.
Yeah, but George Lucas wasn't a fan of blood, so he had to keep it minimum. But those probe droids that we see at the beginning of the movie, those were actually there. I think there was I want to say 100 or 1,000, I can't remember, but they were sent out galaxy wide to find the Rebel base, as we all know. But those probe droids were part of a project called Project Swarm. Which, if you think about it, it actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's really cool about the Empire, it had a different tone. It was more serious, and then you can definitely tell that
it was more of a war. It was more of a war training, coming of age.
And it was just so smooth, like with the transition between the scenes and then the dialogue. And
yeah, it was bam, 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 but it worked so well.
And the one thing I noticed that the biggest difference, I don't care what anybody says, but this version of the Empire Strikes Back version of Darth Vader is the cleanest version I have seen. And
Rogue One's pretty clean.
I think this one's the cleanest. Like, you saw how shiny his armor was, and this is 1980. That looks super high definition.
Well, he just got done out of that Bacta tank that we see in Boba Fett. That what if we see that in Kenobi? We see Anakin Skywalker chilling in a Bacta tank. He's like, Padme. Then he wakes up and he's like, time to be Vader.
Maybe that's how Kenobi starts.
That is that. That would be. I do not want to see Anakin Skywalker in a Bacta tank.
Okay, not Anakin Skywalker. I'm saying Vader in his little tube thing.
Well, that would be cool. Yeah, in his meditation chamber, which we actually see for the first time in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and then how they shifted, because I think somewhere in the comics or something like that, they were saying Boba Fett before he was introduced, he was tracking down, a young person named Luke Skywalker. And
there's a theory out there that Boba Fett is actually the one who scorched Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
How so?
Well, we hear Ben Kenobi say, "This is the work of the most of a trooper. They're the most precise, accurate, whatnot, which is so contradicting to stormtroopers. So, and stormtroopers weren't really known for setting places on fire. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that Boba Fett. I believe it.
I don't know. I would need more intel on that. But yeah, like Vader was very persistent in this film, and he was more ruthless. Like every single scene with the general, there was always another one to replace because he would always get.
I mean, he was choking really dudes out via face in this movie.
And I think, yeah, what set the tone about this was, it was, if you think about it, it was all a big chase until the end.
Yeah, that's what the Last Jedi was. Well, the Last Jedi was a chase until the end. Yeah, but it doesn't work.
The Last Jedi didn't work because they were being chased in space, and apparently a super highly technological military aircraft cannot catch up to a bus. Yeah. And the reason was because they want to waste their resources instead of blowing them up.
I would have been like, forget the resources. They're right there. Blow them up.
Exactly. And they just waited. They just stalled. Who knows how long. And there was no sense of urgency. Like, everyone was just like, the people were running and everything. But it was like, it's okay. We're the heroes. We're going to live. But, like, with The Empire Strikes Back, think about it. Vader shows up within the first, 20 minutes of the film, already conquers the Hoth station. Then they have to leave. Then they all have to disperse. Maybe they may or may not see each other again. And when, Luke and Han, Leia, and Chewie, that was technically the last time they saw each other until the very end.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. And you basically see two versions of the story. You see one with Luke training and looking for this one called Yoda, where Yoda was introduced.
Yoda? You seek Yoda?
The hippie Yoda is what I like to call him. And then we also have we have that going on. Well, when Han, Leia, and Chewie, R2, and C-3PO are being chased by the Empire consistently, and then they basically have to run away through an asteroid field, land in there, and then from there they're inside a worm. Then they have to get out of there, and then they go see it. And then Han goes see his friend Lando. I like the character, but I don't like his figure.
You just went through all of my notes in 15 seconds.
I'm sorry, but this is the film I really, really, I honestly enjoy this film. I think this one is better than Revenge of the Sith, and let me get to that one.
I agree.
I'll get to it though, but yeah.
I see. We were both raised and grew up with the prequels, but the original trilogy is my favorite.
Yeah, I honestly, New Hope is a respectable film. I like it. It's a little slow. It's kind of corny. It's the 70s. I understand.
Oh yeah.
But from New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, the shift, they went from
70s to 80s.
From first gear to they crank this thing.
Yeah.
And
so a little I didn't actually know this until I was looking up little Easter eggs of Empire Strikes Back, but there's a shot of Han Solo walking through one of the hallways there in Echo Base, and we know that Wampas are pretty active on Hoth. They even lock a few in that room. In a deleted scene, C-3PO tears the warning label, the hand, and a snowtrooper opens the door, and the Wampa pulls him in. So there was Wampas in there. There's a sign of a Wampa attack in Echo Base, and you can see a medical droid tending to an injured Tauntaun laying on the ground as Han Solo walks by. I never caught that until today.
I didn't catch that until you told me.
It's like I've said many a time, Star Wars, blink and you miss it moments.
Yep. And then what else? So yes, they go see his friend, right? And as a fan, we don't know who that is, but we're just all right, we're going with it. And even the landing scene where they're they were telling him you have to land or else you're gonna get blown up. They're like, oh, that's nice.
While they're blowing the fire off on him, or no, they're not. That's Revenge of the Sith. I'm getting my movies mixed up.
How dare you? But anyways, they land, and then it kind of looks serious, and then they're best buddies. We have never seen these characters interact before.
How you doing, Chewbacca, you old pirate?
And then you can what's great about I forgot the guy's name. The guy who plays Lando, Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
He's got that smooth jazz.
He does. He does got that smooth jazz. What's really cool is that, like, yeah, these characters I never met, and yet we can feel that they've been friends for like 10, like years. 20, 30 years, like 20. I'd say like 20 years.
And that's what I liked about Solo, is it actually gave more development into Han and Lando's relationship. And Lando even calls Han, which is hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they meet up, you know, and we're on a new planet, new place, you know, discovering all. But again, it's a little sketchy at the same time because, you know, like, I think Chewbacca like kind of like senses things are going on around there, and then, you know, they're talking, they're relaxing, and then they're gonna have a nice dinner. And who do you see at the end of the dinner table? Who set it up? You know, they're just like, you know, I'm gonna set up this dinner all nice and everything. And
then you get Han the classic.
Starts blasting.
So then you get
I started blasting.
Birds coming out of the corner. You see Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. You know, I've never been a fan of how Boba Fett walks out. I mean, I love how he walks out, but I've never been a fan of how he holds his blaster up. Like, he holds it like so close to him. Like, he's like, oh no, it's Han Solo.
Like, I think he looked more smooth in Return of the Jedi. Because remember when Leia had that detonator, he was like quick on the draw.
Dude, he was so quick.
And if he's quick on the draw, Cad Bane was 3 times or 10 times.
Oh yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, but how do you feel about Han Solo with a lightsaber? Not just a lightsaber, but with Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. Just think about that a minute.
I didn't when I used to watch the movie a lot when I was growing up, I didn't really see that as a big thing. It was kind of used correctly because, you know, he's like, you know, you have basically a laser sword that to cut through and make one. I was like, okay, I get that. It wasn't like he was running through battle like doing 360 flips.
No, he literally sliced the tauntaun open to put Luke in from freezing.
Like pretty much like every average Joe could do that, you know. So like it made sense. It fit.
Yeah, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Like, and then back to Vader, where I think this is the first time we see Palpatine technically, right? Because he's talking to him.
It's not Ian McDiarmid though. It's a different actor.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like I said, like the suit looks clean. Like I think they did a really good job developing Vader. He was more.
This movie gave more character to Vader at its time.
Mm-hmm. He was very. I don't know. He was very pissed off Vader, but then when he spoke to Luke, it was more like
father to son,
like that. And I also saw a teacher.
Yes, teacher.
But a teacher for the wrong reason.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna teach you how to break the law.
Like it's crazy because like if you think about it, throughout the whole movie, Vader's killing people, and like at any moment you step, like you like talk before him or anything, you're dead. But with Luke, he takes his time.
Well, and you got to think about it. This movie actually, if I'm not mistaken, Return of the Jedi does a little bit, but Empire Strikes Back shows Vader trying to do the rule of 2 as bringing Luke as his apprentice to overthrow Palpatine.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, Anakin Skywalker, but that's not Anakin, that's Darth Vader. They're the same person. Get out of here. All right. They're the same person, but it's not the same person.
It's literally like Moon Knight with 2 personalities.
Yes, it is. It is. But if you think about it, Anakin Skywalker in the Darth Vader suit was practicing the dark side ways by trying to recruit Luke as his apprentice to overthrow Palpatine. Mm-hmm. So I think that may be the first time we actually see Anakin Skywalker go full Sith without actually any action.
Okay. Yeah. Well, technically, yes, because remember, he killed the generals before he had to... Because when he talked to Luke, that was at the end of the movie.
I mean, Anakin killed people when he was Anakin. You know, not just the men, but the women and the children.
Okay, yeah, I can see. So, basically, if you think about it, Darth Vader was basically like 10 minutes. So far. Like, so... And yeah, so we get the fight between... I think that is the most iconic fight. I don't care what people say. It's definitely an improvement from the New Hope fight, where they're literally just...
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Trying to stab each other.
And
The
actually,
fight.
two Imperial generals in this movie
Mhm.
were in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
One of them was Julian Glover, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one I don't know his name, but they were both in Indiana Jones. Julian Glover played. I forgot the guy's name, but he's in Raiders of the Lost Ark when Indiana comes out of the cave at the beginning of the movie. He's that main guy there who takes that gold,
gold.
that Indian, yeah,
Oh, he's
and
like
then
the Frenchie.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then the other general in
is when
Empire
they land
Strikes
on
Back,
Hoth.
yes, General Veers is who Jonathan
Right.
Glover, Julian Glover played,
Yeah.
but the other Imperial played Hitler in
I think I read
not a
something
Templar,
about
later's what's the Last Crusade? Yes, Indiana
that.
Jones.
Last Crusade. Yeah, Last Crusade.
Yeah, he played Hitler.
Mhm.
So, and it's actually the first movie we actually see AT-ATs.
Mhm.
And
Again,
what I like about the
iconic.
Battle of Hoth is like every all the Battlefront games, the Battle of Hoth is the most accurate battle to any battle in those games because it was actually on screen.
Mhm.
You can fight on Naboo, you can fight on Utapau in the old school Battlefront 2.
Mhm.
That's the only other one I can think of.
Who would
But
have thought 1980? Like, say, like you were like watching it as a kid in 1980 when Empire Strikes Back come back, and somebody from the future told me that you can play this on a
in a
higher
game,
level scale in a game.
first person,
They wouldn't believe you. They
no.
would 100. They would tell you you're insane.
What's a first person game?
It's something that you would be addicted to.
Yes, it is. It really is. So we are going to take a short break here and come back, and until then, enjoy this little audio snippet. All right, welcome back. So cool fact about this is, you may or may not know this, but the asteroids, when the Millennium Falcon goes into the worm, the asteroids actually flying around were potatoes.
No way.
Yeah, they were potatoes.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And then
look at me over here talking about like dissecting the history of Empire Strikes Back and the Revolutionary. You're like, yeah, did you know the asteroids were made out of potatoes?
I just want to talk to the guy who had that idea. Like, hey,
that guy got a raise.
Let's throw some potatoes in here.
That guy got a promotion. He saved his budget, and he was a critical.
Let's just spray paint some potatoes gray and black, and just have them by string. We're doing the scene of the props.
George Lucas probably hired him to like a supervisor.
Oh yeah, it immediately. Yeah, you saved me a ton of money.
Because just imagine they're in the meeting room, right? And they're like explaining about the scene. And they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna use?" Like, and then they're like showing him like how much the budget is. And then some guy's like, or probably the janitor or something slides by, and he's like, "Yeah, why don't you just use some potatoes?"
Yeah, and it comes from the very back too. It's like, "Hey, let's use potatoes."
And he's like, and George's like, "Who's that guy?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, Brad. Yeah, we're gonna have to dismiss you."
Oh, yeah. No, come have a seat next to Daddy. Yeah. So, and another little fun fact, on Dagobah, when Luke opens his like little lunch tray or whatever, after he sets up his campsite, Mark Hamill actually says that the food in that box was mints and crackers and like airline food. So maybe some peanuts. So
what's crazy? They actually have that lunchbox at Galaxy's Edge.
I would buy it in a heartbeat.
They did have that, and I remember that thing was like $50, and I was.
That's I kind of hate paying $50 for that, but
it's not including taxes.
Disney and their money game.
And another thing, when Yoda was introduced, it's really hard because I was in the mix. Like while the prequels were being made, I remember like the only thing I would rewatch were the originals, right? So Attack of the Clones, I remember that really well, right? I see Yoda. We see like serious General Yoda, right? And then we go back to Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi Yoda.
This makes no sense.
His mind is gone.
Yeah, that's what Mace Windu would be like.
I don't know. You know what? I would accept it.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking these are two different Yodas, but at the same time, the same one. The same one. Like.
But then you watch the Clone Wars, and it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Qui-Gon told him to isolate himself, pretty much.
Yeah. I honestly think the Jedis are the biggest losers in the galaxy.
They are. They really are.
They basically had genocide.
They really are.
Failures.
You know, have you seen that meme where it's like in the Phantom Menace where Ki-Adi-Mundi is looking at little Anakin and he's like, "Your thoughts dwell on your mother," and somebody made a meme of Anakin saying, "My thoughts dwell on your mother."
Oh.
It's so funny. Yes, it was so funny. And then it showed like Ki-Adi-Mundi was like a shocked face, like, "What?" So the also on Dagobah, when Luke goes into the cave, you know, the first few times I watched this, I didn't understand why Luke's face was in Vader's helmet. But if you think about it, now I'm gonna go a little bit in depth here, so this may take me a minute to explain.
Mm-hmm.
So Yoda says, "You will not need your weapons. Take with you, or in there you'll find only what you take with you," or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we know that Luke is afraid to lose his friends to Vader, and he takes his weapons anyways. He goes in the cave, and there is a scene where it looks like part of that cave is man-made. Mm-hmm. They're like blocks up on the wall, sort of stacked like a house would be. But when he goes in there, he sees Vader. He immediately ignites his saber. Right there, he failed to become a Jedi because Jedi never use their sabers for the first strike. Yeah, for offense. He immediately failed his training right then. Then when he slices the helmet and we see here, I understand that now. Luke was afraid of losing his friends in a way that would make him like Vader.
So basically, he was afraid of what he was.
He was afraid of becoming. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense to me. Why Yoda says only fear is what you took in with you, or whatever, when he comes out of the cave.
Because the only reason why he ignited the lightsaber was because of fear.
Fear and offense.
Instinct.
So I always thought, you know, after I realized that, I'm like, man, that is really deep.
That was dark.
Yeah, and also there's a comic book where Snoke takes Kylo Ren to that same cave and Kylo Ren destroys it. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see what Kylo Ren saw in there, because you know good and well he took his saber in there and probably just started slashing the walls.
Spinning, that works.
Yeah, I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah, what's another?
So that's a very deep, reflection of oneself.
I think the reason why Empire Strikes Back, I'm gonna say it. It's still the best Star Wars film.
Triggered. I can already see the Star Wars fans like having a seizure. Triggered.
It is the best, and I'm not talking, as a boomer. I'm born in when the prequels came out, and I'm saying after watching the prequels, after watching the sequels, and after watching the originals, Empire Strikes Back is one of the best films, and it set the tone for the prequels basically, because of the amount of emotion the characters had. If you really think about it,
I would say I have a very good friend who's listening right now. Mm-hmm. When we said The Empire Strikes Back is better than Revenge of the Sith, you know who you are listening. You know who you are that's listening, and if you got a tiny bit triggered by us saying that, you tell me. Because if I know you so well enough that triggered you. And you know
Oh,
who
what
you
I
are.
just said.
You know, when we said earlier that The Empire Strikes Back is better than Revenge of the Sith.
It is. It is by far because.
And you're getting triggered right now by us saying it again. I know you are.
It's because without The Empire Strikes Back, there is no Revenge of the Sith.
There's not.
There's no like meaning of why Vader is the way he is, or why he is conflicted, or why he is how he is, and then like Luke and everything. But yeah, because I'm thinking, like when I think of The Empire Strikes Back, there's a lot of emotion to it. Like we just explained that scene, Luke becoming, something that he completely avoids to be, but in a way that is one of his destinies to become.
I would say the only real emotional part in this movie is when Han is put in carbonite.
No, definitely not.
No?
No.
Well, I forgot about the I am your father.
Not even that. It was all in the fight. It was all in the fight.
I can see your point.
At the end, it was like, what was that line? It's just the way how I was gonna say James Arnold Taylor.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
I think it was before they even ignited their lightsaber. He was something along the lines like you are not a Jedi yet. Like when he says that, that sounds very like
I see through you.
Yeah, pretty much like, and it's also like
and James Earl Jones, man, what a great voice and a great portrayal of a character.
That's who I see as Vader. Like I don't care who is in the costume; it's the voice.
The voice.
Like we can have like because when I went to Disneyland and I took a picture with Vader, that guy was at least like 7 feet tall.
It's so funny because in Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, Vader is more like chilled, but in A New Hope, you are part of a rebel alliance. Take her away.
Yeah, I mean, they were experimenting. It's the first time you see a dude dressed up like a samurai, pretty much. But yeah, like Empire Strikes Back Vader, I think even though I do not believe that was his strongest point, but I feel like that was his most feared.
Yeah.
Like you don't mess with this guy. Like yeah, you can say like Rogue One. Yeah, that was him literally.
That was more angry Vader.
Straight out of the lava pit.
I guess, Rogue One was more of an angry Vader. Then you see A New Hope, which is another angry Vader. And then you get The Empire Strikes Back. He's a little laid back.
So Rogue One, how I see it, Rogue One Vader is like angry at everything. The New Hope Vader is angry at Obi-Wan. He's going to put 150,000% on Obi-Wan.
Just imagine the Rogue One scene and dial that up by 20, and I believe that is the Vader we're going to see in Kenobi.
We're going to see more emotional, because there's
more rage.
There's different types of anger and rage. There is like the Rogue One was just that angry.
That was that moody, Skywalker blood rage.
Yeah, that's that Skywalker moody teenager, and then New Hope was older. He's an older guy, but he's still bitter, like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Empire is like a little. I saw that somebody's like Cad Bane. Cad Bane wasn't an angry character.
And then you get to Return of the Jedi, and he's just like torn by light side and dark side. He's divided.
There's a lot of complexity with the character itself. When I see Vader, you have to think of the other movies, and obviously if you look at it from a standalone film, you just see him as the bad guy. But he is a conflicted character. I don't consider him a bad guy. There are certain things that he does is pretty bad, but overall as a character, he is very conflicted and was poorly shown by the Jedi and more influenced by Palpatine.
In A New Hope, I would say the bad guy, quote unquote, was Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin was because they were like the Emperor, like that was.
You may fire when ready.
That was the thing, and that guy was Sherlock Holmes. before, people forget about that. But anyways, back to Empire. I think the most chilling scene, like that still brings me chills. That has a lot of emotion. Like, no, I'm pretty sure when this movie came out, in this last fight scene, everyone was in awe. There wasn't one word said in the middle. Like even the babies would stop crying.
You know, the Vader breathing in the dark hallways of Bespin is chilling enough.
Like I have that in my head. I have his shadow, and then he ignites his lightsaber, and then there's no music.
But if you think about it, like when Luke is looking for him, like you can't hear him breathing. So was Vader holding his breath the whole time?
I think so. That's even scary. They kind of made it a little bit of a horror scene.
Yeah,
because you just hear the breathing. You hear him, but you don't see him. And then when you do see him, he's like a shadow.
Yeah, he's like Batman.
And remember he's a big machine, and I'm pretty because
he's more machine now than man.
When I had Darth Vader's lightsaber that I got from Disney, that thing was heavy. And
it roars. It roars a little bit more darker than the other sabers.
It sounds focused.
It does. It sounds more aggressive.
Like when you swing that thing, you are swinging to kill. You're not swinging to knock him down. It'll go right through them.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, like when Luke, because the only reason I believe that Luke somewhat stood his ground is because he was a Skywalker.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He was the entry level Skywalker versus, Giga Boss. And
he told me enough. He told me you killed him.
And I low-key think Vader was going easy on him because he needed him weak enough to turn him to be desperate.
He was doing the Palpatine to his own son.
Yeah. His more confidence. You were like dissecting. Yeah. Yeah, and then when he cut off his hand, that's when I believe was the most. So now I'm shifting more towards cinematic, where it was the most. I think one of the most, I would say top 100 to be more confident, top 100 most famous scenes in the history of cinema. Because
and I love how Luke just instantly turned to his Skywalker and just jumped.
Yeah, straight up.
Like that's something I would do.
Because I don't know if he knows, but the only ones that were in discussion of Vader was his father. I think in German Vader means father or something like that. So maybe I heard something like that. But
well, not a lot of people knew that Vader was going to be Luke's father until the day they filmed that scene.
That and also, I don't even think Harrison Ford knew. I think it was an interview with Mark Hamill where the conversation was between George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, and Mark Hamill. Only those three knew that Vader was his father, and they kept it a secret until obviously they performed the scene, and in theaters, and it was really like even now, say like you showed, I don't know, some kid that wanted to watch Star Wars is bored. Say like you make him watch like start in order from the prequels, then you move on to I would start with the originals because you need to know that this bad guy is actually the father of the hero. You have that was a total twist. That was a big surprise when it came out, and it still is a surprise for people who haven't seen Star Wars.
Yes, no doubt. It will always be a surprise.
Yeah, and then how does the movie end? With the heroes losing, Han Solo and Carbonite, we probably never saw him again.
Luke losing a hand.
And, the rebellion and shatters. That's how I think that's what The Last Jedi was trying to do, but they were so under the radar that it just fell right into the trash.
Yeah, talk about recycled Star Wars.
Yeah, that's recycled Star Wars. That didn't even work. It didn't even launch from the airport. It just went straight down, crash and burn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why that film was iconic, because I think it was one of the very few films where the heroes don't win.
And The Empire Strikes Back is actually the first movie we get the iconic bounty hunter lineup with Zuckuss, Forlom, Dengar, IG-88, Boba Fett, and Bosk.
Everyone besides Boba, it didn't even talk, and then they considered
Well, Bosk did a little bit of a snarl.
I know, but I'm saying they didn't speak directly to Vader, anything like that.
Yeah, and then when we're in Cloud City and we see 3PO open the door and we see that silver 3PO unit, and he says "Ichuta." I think we all know what that means, and we're not gonna say it over the show, but
yeah, we will never. I honestly believe we will never get another Empire Strikes Back because it was a perfect setup for everything else. It is,
another. Go ahead.
I was saying, New Hope was the spark
that ignited the flame. You set yourself up for that one, buddy.
I did, but New Hope was the idea, like the heart. Basically, New Hope is the heart of Star Wars because that's where it started.
Yeah, and
then Empire is the soul, and then everything are pieces of the soul, like Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars,
Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi was a good movie to end the Empire and set up Luke's new academy.
Yeah, but if you read the books,
I think that's where Disney should have took the sequels, not 30-year jump.
In the book, Luke after Return of the Jedi, Luke was not a happy camper. He had PTSD. Like, he wasn't a hermit. But he was like,
and he was no way by means a Kenobi PTSD mindset either.
No, he was straight up a Skywalker PTSD, and he handled it like a Skywalker.
So I just lost my dad, but now I'm going to start the new Jedi Academy.
Like, he was still Luke, but at the same time, he was.
And he was. I don't think Luke. Yeah, Return of the Jedi is Luke becoming the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. But to me, I don't think Luke fully completed his Jedi training.
I think Return of the Jedi wasn't about Luke.
Anakin.
Yep, it's about Anakin. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Luke was just part of that process to become a Jedi.
Well, if you think about it, Jedi is plural.
Yep.
So it could be Anakin and Luke. Mm-hmm. So
or Return of the Jedi, like the Jedi Order, because he was supposedly the chosen one.
Yep. Let's talk about Bespin for a minute. Bespin, we get some of the most iconic characters revealed. We got Lando, we got Lobot, we got Ugnaughts, and we got the old famous Will Rowe Hood carrying the ice cream machine running down Bespin hallways that they later turned into Cantonas, which is what Mando holds his Beskar payment in Mando Season 1. Those are ice cream machines. And it all thanks to The Empire Strikes Back. And
the ice cream machine looks better than McDonald's.
Yeah, it's never broken. And then when we're on Dagobah, Luke actually says something before he lands his X-Wing. He says, "There's something familiar about this place." I've never really understood what he meant by that, but I guess you could say Luke is a Skywalker. The Force technically awoken in him in A New Hope. So what if he feels the Force coming off of the planet and he can feel Yoda's presence, and Yoda was with Obi-Wan? So what if we see Obi-Wan meditating, talking to Yoda, and Luke stumbles in and he's like,
I just had an idea.
What's your idea?
What if in the Kenobi show somehow
Palpatine returns?
I set myself up for that one. But what if Obi-Wan visits or somehow communicates with Yoda one more time out of desperation from Dagobah?
Yeah. And Luke is so close by he can sense it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know what it is because he's just a kid.
I have a feeling, I'm switching back. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like the first episode will be emotionally impacted.
Yes, the first episode will be building up what we're going to see.
I'm confident we will. I'm not saying it's Qui-Gon, but I'm confident we will get, what's it called? I guess a flashback character. Example, like Obi-Wan.
We need a Crazy Mace.
Like Crazy Mace, or my high probability of this is someone from the Clone Wars era. Either one, Yoda to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon is a higher probability than Yoda, to be honest.
Yes.
Flashbacks of Anakin.
Or what if it's baby Luke?
They'll show that later. They have to show how broken Obi-Wan is. And also we could see, what was his girlfriend's name?
Duchess Satine.
We could see that live action. I'm confident we may see that.
That'd be pretty cool.
To show them and then what's even more impacting, I'm thinking right now, just how we predicted the Cad Bane Boba Fett thing. I'm going on right now. I'm thinking, what if he wakes up from that nightmare that he sees Maul, live action Maul, kill Satine, and that's what wakes him up.
Oh, I just got chills all over me, bro.
And then it's the original guy who played Maul,
Ray Park.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna see Maul. That's just me.
I feel like we will.
But I feel like we have to.
We will see this. If we see Maul, Vader, and Inquisitors, I will forgive what that Inquisitor looks like.
Oh,
it's not the actor's fault. It's 100% not his fault. Like
it's the makeup.
It's the concept. Like the makeup people. If you think about it, they did great. But I think whoever decided to give him a
potato head. Maybe it's the same guy who did the potato rocks.
Now you think about it, yeah. Brainiac vibes.
Yeah, Brainiac.
They could have had.
But moving on here.
Hold on, I'm sticking to this, right? Who the voice? Wasn't the voice the dude from Harry Potter? Like
Rupert Friend? Are you talking about the Grand Inquisitor?
Yeah. Yeah,
Rupert Friend is the guy who's playing him. He also did the voice in Rebels.
Yeah.
Rupert Friend.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just.
All right, so moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you went like 3 trilogies in one right there. So the carbon scene, the stormtroopers standing around the carbon, those were actually not people. Those were mannequins. If you did not know that.
What were mannequins?
The stormtroopers.
In
the carbon freezing? Yeah, in the carbon scene when Han's getting frozen. And he says, "I love you, I know," which also I know was not scripted. That was improvised by Harrison Ford, which is now iconic. But those stormtroopers standing around the carbon scene are mannequins.
Who would have thought? Like, I didn't know that.
And now when you watch that movie, you're never going to be able to unsee it.
I think the one thing I'm never going to unsee are the potatoes.
But, yeah. And later, when Luke is walking down the hallways of Cloud City, and he stands there by the wall, and he pulls out his gun as Boba Fett walks by. When he does that, if you notice, Boba Fett turns his head. So Boba Fett heard Luke pull his gun out. That's why he is there and shoots at Luke when he pops around the corner. Boba Fett heard Luke. So if Boba Fett has got that great of a hearing, can you imagine what Boba Fett was in his prime?
I don't know. We'll never find out now.
No, we probably won't. They're probably like, yeah, we're done with Boba Fett. Keep him as cameo characters. And that Imperial officer walking next to Lando in that scene also, that is Jeremy Bulloch. So there you go. Same guy who played Boba Fett. So, and so I am at my last note here. You got anything to add before I give my last note?
No, I pretty much went, hopefully in detail for everybody to give them a different perspective of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's what this is all about. This is what we do on Rodian Radio. We give Star Wars fans different perspectives.
I don't even know. Like, talking about Empire Strikes Back gave me predictions for.
Yeah, there you go. See, now you've got new predictions for Kenobi. Now, when we do our Kenobi prediction episode, maybe the week before the episode drops, we're gonna be on a roll, man.
Like that's how it was last time we were talking about Boba Fett. Like, I literally talked about
Cad Bane.
We said Cad Bane. We said literally threw it out on episode 1. We said Cad Bane,
and then he showed up.
And he showed up. When we saw, I think that was the best Rodian Radio moment. I literally watched that. I think that's when I pugged Chase by telling him that I quit Star Wars. I was straight up just like saying things like I'm ready to drop the mic.
All right, so our last note here. The end scene is the first time we ever see cybernetic implants in Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's the first time we ever see mods, if you will, in Star Wars.
Oh, they did in the Book of Boba Fett with the
Don't get me
Skrillex
started.
music.
Don't get me started. That was the most stupidest decision to make. Yeah, it makes sense because there's cybernetics in Star Wars, but the Skrillex dubstep music and a tattoo parlor, it's stupid. It's just stupid. But that is our breakdown for Empire Strikes Back for May the 4th special here on Rodian Radio. We really appreciate everyone who's been listening. Now it's time to head over to the Rodian Radio VIP Lounge with toy photographers. Get ready for this. Special guest, Mr. Kim Simmons, the second original toy photographer for Kenner from 1981 to 2000. If you are a collector of the old school vintage Star Wars figures and you've seen pictures of the figures or vehicles on the packaging, it's a good chance Mr. Kim Simmons is the one who took that photograph. So we're going to head over to the Rodian Radio VIP Lounge and chat with Mr. Kim Simmons. So until the next time, this has been Chase.
This is Danny.
And may the 4th be with you. Of course, we're here. This is the May. Kenobi, less than a month away. We're so excited. So let's head over to the Rodian Radio VIP Lounge.
Welcome to the Rodian Radio VIP Lounge.
Hello there.
Hello.
So it's nice to talk to you. You actually, you're like the dream person for us to talk to because we're both toy photographers ourselves.
Oh, good.
For hobbies. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna ask you a couple questions, and because you're like the guy for us. You're the poster boy for us.
Look, I got news for you. You guys are so far, very likely, so far beyond what I used to do that it's scary. It really is. You got to understand, the technology is advanced. I've watched it and I've done it. But what you can do now, at your age, your brain works a little different than mine.
Right. Right, because now we've got all these different types of cameras and equipments and lenses, and probably back in 1981 you had one camera.
No, we had a couple of cameras, but it basically at 35 to 2 1/4 to 4x5, 8x10, but everything was up here.
Right. Right.
And my light meter.
One thing I've learned to get the best photos is it's all in the angle.
Yeah.
All in the angle.
Especially when you're talking about, the new toy stuff that you've got now. I mean, you got lower angle, wide angle. I mean, you get up here, that's crap. You got to get down.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the ground.
You got to get down. And it's more fun that way. There's so much more you can do now. I mean, to me, you got... When I was there, back in those days, the big thing was I took the RZ that I was using, and I took a 30, I think it was a 35 lens on it, brand new at the time. The dealer walked into it, and, "Oh, you want to try this out, Kim?" "Oh, yeah." Not the dealer, it was the manufacturer. Rep came in and said, "You want to try this?" And I go, "Oh, shit, yes, I just got through playing with the Darth Vader, the removable helmet. And I'm going, oh, this is so cool. And I on my mind right then, I go, oh, wait, okay, now I get down there. These guys are standing there. I'm making them wait. I put the figure there, and I got down really, really low on that sucker. And I'm looking at it. I'm going, oh, this is gorgeous. This is it. I see it. And I go, I got to have this lens. How soon can I get it? It was $3,500. This is back. Yeah.
That's a lot of money for back then, too.
Yeah. Tell me about it. My wife had a conniption fit.
So, did you keep anything from anything you photographed?
Oh, I kept everything. Everything from the beginnings. I did. Actually, Roy did before me. He kept everything, and then I kept everything. No, I don't have it anymore. Just to let you know.
Wow.
I got rid of everything. Everything's gone. There's nothing here to see. No, there is. But the things. The only thing I've got now, I didn't get rid of film because I knew people were going to want the film. So it's and they did. They still do. I still got some left over from the vintage days, but most of the stuff I've got now is all from the 90s stuff. So, yeah, it is what it is. What can I tell you?
Right.
And
So, yeah, ask your question, Dan.
I got a couple questions. So first, when you set up can you take us through the process on how like the company goes to you and be like, hey, we need you to take photos of these figures, and like what are your steps from there? Like what's your thought process the whole way?
Okay, it came. Okay, well, I just did this with Matt Brookins, with his custom figures. But what we do is I worked in the beginning. The vintage stuff was all through a design studio.
Okay.
So it came through the design studio. Art Hefner up in Kenner, they'd go up and do their thing, talk about what they want to do, whatever. Oh, we're going to change this or that. Okay, fine. And then they would turn around and they'd say, okay, Kim, we're going to do all these figures. And I said, can we go steps? And once we went to steps, because I said we were doing these little stuff, but now we're talking major stuff here, like we ended up being the 92, 93s figures. I wish I could turn. I think I turned those off. Jeez. My notifications. Then it was like, okay, what color? Well, I'm going. They're thinking yellow. Well, hey, we can get yellow. That's no big deal. So those are the things you have to get out of the way first. And then I had to go back and build the steps. But which drove Roy crazy when I was doing that stuff, is because I'd be doing it in my head and he'd be like, huh?
Now, Roy Franklin, I believe is his name, correct?
Roy Frankenfield.
Okay, yeah.
Frankenfield.
He was basically your boss, if I'm correct.
You are correct. He was the first man who shot Luke Skywalker.
Now, how did you guys come up with that name? Because that name it kills me every time.
I didn't. That name was given to me by the guys from Galaxy Star Wars magazine.
I love that name.
They did that article on me, and they called me the man who shot Luke Skywalker. And then don't worry, he didn't use a blaster, he used a camera.
Yeah, that cracks me up every time I see it. I was like, that's so funny. And I get it.
I grabbed it and I'm going, it worked. But yeah, try doing that. Try saying that down in Mexico. Because man who shot, and they're thinking Pistola, and I'm looking at Pistola. That's not what I did. But it doesn't work out the same.
Right. As a toy photographer myself, and I'm no by means a pro at any means, but I get it. That's what we call it.
You can only get better. Come on,
it's true.
Get better. Yeah. Come on.
It's interesting because when I started photography, I like to do it in terms of how a director would shoot, like with movies. So I would try to get the low angles, and because the whole point of my photos is to make them look as realistic as possible and get like the super close shots, not too much where like it looks too fuzzy and like toy-like. And I take outdoor photos, so I really had to depend on Mother Nature to give me like what I needed. And for the most part, it did help me a lot. But what I like to do is like think of like how a director would shoot, like would I do a sky shot or like a hero shot or like a certain angle shots, and then from there I would do that. And then I just learned over like YouTube videos over and over, and I think that's really cool. Also, I'm really like starstruck because like you're a toy photographer, which is really cool. And that's what got me inspired, is just I wanted to take the images from my head and then put it onto make it real. That was my whole goal. And I'm still doing that, and I still enjoy it to this day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even now, the stuff that I've been doing for the books that I've been doing, the volumes, I've tried to do the posters, and I'll do it in my head, and I'll start on them.
Yeah.
And I will literally start on, in my head, I'm working on it, and I'll start on it, and I lay it out. I had the one for the ESB poster, I had it basically done. But that was driving me. She was like, "What are you doing?" I'm going out pulling up shrubs. These.
We know what you mean.
The honeysuckle. I'm picking up the honeysuckle bushes. I'm in the middle of wintertime. I'm pulling them up, washing them off, setting them aside, doing that, and I had a whole bunch of them up on the porch. And she's, "What are you doing?" I I've got this idea. So, okay, so I get in here, I start working with plaster and all that. I overdo it. I understand. and I had that in my mind. I needed this creek going through. In my mind, I'm using a micro X-wing, and I'm having it come up. And I did all that. It all worked out really well. And I did it. And I'm going, this isn't working. No. And I've got this 4x4 table, 4 foot by 4 foot table. I mean, we're in the wintertime here. So in here, I've got the background all done and everything's there. And I go, this isn't working. And now mind you, I had created the background from about 3 or 4 images that I shot down at the green swamp down in Florida in black and white. So I spliced them together. I thought ahead. Don't ask me how I did this. I just thought ahead, and I basically did a panos and 2 or 3 panos to look at. So I'm going, okay, this goes. 40 or so inches later, and actually more than that. And okay, man, that'll work. That goes together. Word it out. Okay, fine. Black and white. That's good. Now I'm going to tone it. Okay, I toned it in Photoshop, and I don't do anything small. So this thing was huge, and I'm in the huge megabyte thing, and it's 4 foot. Actually, initially it was very small, and I go, this isn't going to work because I've got to have a lot of depth on this thing. I got to have a lot going on. So I had this whole thing created, and then I found somebody. My printer's gone. My big printer's gone. So I asked the printing company, one of the printing companies that I frequent, would you mind printing this out for? Oh, sure, we'd love to. Well, he finds out they're Star Wars people anyway, so it works out really well. So they printed this thing out. It's over 11 feet long. 4 feet. So we had this thing around, okay, and I mean, I didn't know what I was going to use. I truly did not know what I was going to. Sorry about the dinghy.
No worries.
Oh, it's no problem.
Okay, you guys are all used to that. Me, it freaks me out. So, but that, okay, you got that background, and there's a blue, everything was perfect, and then I had all these bushes, and I cut them off, and I mean, they were tall. And I'm looking in here, okay, this works, and I just go wild with the paint. I create the outdoors. In that, then you add in the fog machine, the dry ice, and all that to give me the effects that I'm looking for. And then here I am. I've got the shots of the micro X-wing coming up, which I have it just dangling out there. Actually, shut it by a long stick. That isn't working. That doesn't do it for me. So I'm going, okay, I take it out. I got what I need to do, and I literally just cut them in half. I'll spread it out, and I go, that'll work. And you don't want to know how much money I spent on just creating the creek that no longer needed to be there like that. Not like the way I did it. And so let my wife, she's got the patience of Job. So she does all the fine detail stuff like that. So she does all that retouching, brings it up together, give me enough. And I put that ship in. No, it doesn't work. Finally, I go, okay, I need to get a vintage X-wing. I didn't have one anymore. So I put a call out. Somebody loaned me an X-wing. Now this is COVID time. So it's kind of like you meet in a parking lot.
Yeah.
At the beginning of COVID, I should say. I go, okay, I'm going to have that sucker coming in. That's how I did it. Literally, that's how my mind just went that way. So I had that under my belt, and I hated to tear that thing apart. It stood out here for 6 months. I was like, I don't want to destroy it. It's like nobody wanted it. So I was like, okay, fine. So I just destroyed it, gone. So when I came to the next book, I'm going, okay, I want to do the Rancor monster below Jabba's palace, my own version, but I'm going to use the Rancor monster similar to what I did before, but this time around, you're going to see the gate. I've now seen the movie. So I'm going to have the gate out here. I want to see something there, and I want to see a grid light up above. I'm going to put the throne room up above that. That'll be cool. You see something. Well, and I realized that's 20-some inches tall, and then you've got and it's like, no, that's too big. I'm not doing this in one shot. It's going to be 2 shots because everything would be too small. Not going to happen. So that's why we ended up with 2 posters. But it was kind of like I basically used rocks. I have rocks on my driveway that I used, and plaster, but drywall mud. Just drywall mud all over the place, and then go to town, paint. And I have it sets of, you can see the steps that I took because I modified it, or shots of it in between. So I didn't even have a Rancor monster. It was all in my head. How was it going to be? And I just pulled one of my figures that I've got, the Obi-Wan figure that it lights up at night. Okay, don't ask me. I have no idea. And I go, he's about the right height. I didn't bother to go up and look at the size of him. I'll get one. It worked out perfectly. And based on that, I got the Rancor monster. And then I was able to figure, okay, this is about where I'm going to be and what lens you need. And actually what camera, because my camera would not use the newer lenses because of firmware issues. So I had to go borrow a camera to use the lens that another friend had. So I did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a whole mission.
It's a whole mission thing. I'm designing this thing with something in my head, and it's like I kept getting lower and lower and lower. I go, this is where I want to be. Not from here. I want to be here. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Yeah. I just react to the previous decision.
Yeah. One thing I learned is you don't need a whole lot of creativity to make a scene. Because, like, for me, I use broken cinder block pieces for my structures, and it works just fine in my pictures. And I'm actually going to send you mine and Danny's account over Instagram so you can check out our photography.
Sure.
But, so just cinder block pieces work great for me. Like, I had a couple of World War II figures that I used those for, and it looked like, something from World War II. You don't need a whole lot of creativity.
Yeah, that is creativity. So don't give me this bullshit about no creativity.
No, that's not what I meant.
That is creativity. You're using something, found objects. That's the thing that you've got the ability to do now. See, I was locked in the studio. That's where I had to do things. So that's my mindset.
Right.
Me going out and taking figures that prototype figures or whatever, trying to go out and do what I like to do out in the woods. Wasn't going to happen. Or out in a parking lot, wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And now I'm kind of locked into what I can control. I mean, one of the guys I know who's really a big name shooter who decided he wanted to get back into digital a while back, when I first built my studio out here at the house, he comes in and says, where are the windows? I'd have put a big window right there. So I had the north light coming in. I go, no, I like to control everything my way. And no. I'd go out in the parking lot or your driveway out here. Different mindset.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own, and it works for everybody in their own way.
That's it.
I think Danny had a question about advice for fellow photographers.
Yeah, so I was saying, since you started working with photography, back in the early 80s, how do you think it's changed? Obviously, technology has changed a lot, but what advice would you give to future toy photographers who want to be part of the industry that you do? Like, just basically do what you love, because you sound very passionate about it, and I can see it too, and it excites me as well, because someday I like to do that, and also, basically, yeah.
I'll tell you, it's changed so much, and besides, just to let you know, I've had a camera in my hand since I was like 5 years old, off and on, okay, but it's changed so much because everybody is a photographer now.
Mm-hmm.
I know guys now who they've been shooters. Well, I've been shooter longer than them, but still, it's been a shooter for quite a while. They've had to transition into video because the print work, the still work, just isn't there. It is there, but it's so reduced that it's kind of like we're oversaturated. If that, you know what I mean? There's there's not enough work for everybody. So whereas before is like, good God, P&G, between P&G, Kenner, and all the different corporations that were in Cincinnati, I mean, there's plenty of work from for dozens of photographers. And but now, no, it's just not there.
Right.
At least that's what they're telling me. I've been out of the game for a while as far as going to clients and whatever. So you got to think twice about that. Have a backup plan.
Yeah. There's
one that you don't keep pouring money. The quickest way to become a millionaire in the photography business. Start with $2 million.
Paying for all the production, all the sets, and yeah.
It's just there's the money's not there. It's just not there anymore.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of photographers that we follow and stuff, and there's so many. It seems like there's more photographers than there are collectors.
Yeah,
pretty much. It seems that way, but it really isn't. There's a
Right.
lot more collectors out because a lot of collectors become like you they're photographers. They want to do photography.
Right.
You guys are on that different edge. You might be, if you're collectors, then you want to do things because you're drawn towards the creative side of doing photography. And it could be you Army soldiers, it could be what GI Joes or whatever.
Right.
And go for it. It could. There is a lot out there as far as.
Oh yeah.
It's fun, but you have to enjoy it. Keep it in my light went off here. Yeah. Sorry. That's my main computer. That's where I do everything. But this is the one I have no camera on.
No worries.
Well, this is I have a widescreen. You got it.
Yeah. I started it as and it still is as a hobby. It's not a contingency plan for the rest of my life. It's it's something I enjoy doing.
No, don't. Just use it as something to really let your creativity out and enjoy it.
And it's actually the only reason that I still collect figures is because I'm able to storytell with figures.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I really do. I think that's dynamite. It's a dynamite way of looking at it. And I mean, it takes a lot of creativity to do some of the stuff. I've seen some of the stuff that other guys have done.
Yes.
And there's I can't remember his name. He'd probably shoot me if I can remember. But he was it's been a few years now. He actually was in Afghanistan, I think. And he takes the figures. I guess a lot of the 6-inch figures. Mm. And he goes out and in real life, and my God, swear to God, they look so realistic. It's scary.
That's beautiful.
I mean, it was like, oh my God, how he's doing. It's like the first thing I'd be doing is, I'm gonna take my 6,000, in my case, my Hasselblad. I'm gonna take my Hasselblad out there, in all that dirt, all that blowing dust, and subject it. No, that's not gonna happen.
No. See, I collect the Hot Toys and Sideshow collectibles, so there's no way I would ever take them out into dirty air like that.
And then me on the other hand, I'm boots on the ground where I do 6-inch Black Series figures, and now I'm starting to do into Mezcos. There are some figures where like I am close to having a heart attack. Sometimes like if they touch the dirt, that ruins like the cloth and everything. But I like that experience of where, I have like I said, like I do things in nature. So sometimes the wind's blowing and dust blows on the figure, and to me sometimes I see that as a benefit because it creates a lot of details.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean I've seen some of these things, and it's kind of like wow, they're And if you're not worried about hurting the figure, okay, and you're just careful with the camera, because most of you guys are not using the Hasselblad. You're using your 35s, and those are enough money. Trust me, I do know that. I also have one, but mine's a little on the older. Well, it's older and digital, but but still, it's like, do I want to put this thing out there in the dust? That's anti.
Yeah.
You just don't do that with your gear. But there are people that do it, and they, as long as you keep it somewhat sealed up as best possible. I mean, it can work, but no, thank you.
Yeah,
yeah, it is. I do think of that sometimes because I one time worked with the set. But what I like to do with my photos, I like to do a lot of crossovers. Sometimes one time I did a Ghost Rider with Clone Trooper, and what I did is I had a little chain that I got at Home Depot. I made it, and then I made it wrap around the Clone Trooper, and then I had real fire in front of them, and in the back was CGI fire. And again, it was a little risky because both of them could have caught on fire, but at the same time, I had the situation under control. I was just, I got to get these shots at that moment, at that time, and then I got it. And it was exciting, but also scary at the same time. But I would do it again.
You can also take that chain and put it up out, put it out there and put black behind it or white, whatever you want to do. Saturate it with your ladder fluid or whatever, it's like that. Light a match to it real quick, shoot it.
Yep.
And you've got that, so now you can just take it in Photoshop and you cut it out.
Yeah.
Not the same thing, but
gets the point across.
It does.
So
what you did was that takes some yeah. Got it.
So with each special guest we have on the show, we like to ask them a series of questions outside of their profession, just as a general fan. And as I know, you are a big Star Wars fan. So, question number one is, obviously, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Well, people ask me that all the time. They really do. And I like all of them. I really, truly do. I guess if you had to... being the man who shot Luke Skywalker, I'd probably say Darth Vader. But, in fact, I believe, if I remember right, above my door at the studio downtown, I did have the sign Darth Vader. And above my door.
So who would you say your least favorite character is?
Oh, Lord.
If you never had to see him again, it'd be the best day of your life.
I never look at it that way. I know. I really don't. I really don't have the least favorite. I mean, a lot of people I know would say Jar Jar.
Yeah.
I would never say that because I know the backstory.
Yeah, we like Jar Jar here.
Yeah, I really thought he was great in the movie, only because I'm looking at it from a kid's point of view.
Exactly.
And I thought that's a great way to bring the kids into it. And that's my understanding is that's exactly what George Lucas wanted.
Yep.
For the kids out there to have something. So, and once I heard that, of course, I always liked him anyway. So it's like, okay, because I've got some stuff here, the Jar Jar toys that's like, okay, I got them and I bought them. So they didn't give me anything. I had to buy them.
Well, there's always a dark side.
This is in the later time, in the new stuff, the 95 and up. They didn't give me anything. Now, previous, they left the toys with me. They left everything with me. And when I tried to give it back to them, they wouldn't take them.
Wow. Well, you could you make a lot of money on eBay nowadays with those types of toys.
I wish I would have known all this, but I got rid of everything. But it's all good. It's all good. It helped create a lot of things out there.
Right.
Because of what I had.
Well, one man's trash is another man's treasure, as they say.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it was your trash, but
It definitely wasn't my trash.
So, what would you say your favorite scene in anything Star Wars is? Whether it's movies, cartoon.
You know what? I've been taken to the outhouse on this one because I've never gone into the cartoon versions, and I've been told I've really missed a lot.
There is a lot in there that really helps.
I know, and it's like. I just haven't done it yet. My wife we just don't look at those. Well, I need to do that one day. So it's like, okay, I'm on the carpet. I've got to see them. But as favorite scenes, I looking back, unfortunately, it's got to be what apparently I'm drawn towards the Jabba's throne room and the Rancor pit and all that.
Beautiful scenes.
Yeah, because that's what I've done the most of. In fact, because I still have those dioramas that I built. I gave the figures back to those who loaned them to me, and I'm going to build. I've been collecting them so I can repopulate. I'm literally going to make a cabinet for those two dioramas and put them one above the other.
It's fantastic.
So yeah.
Yeah, those were beautiful scenes, and Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, and the Jabba's palace is some of the best Star Wars scenes because it's Star Wars. That's what Star Wars is.
Yeah, I would have done the ESB, where I did the Hoth battle scene, but that takes up so much room that
Yeah.
I don't have enough room.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to go out and shoot it outside. So, like, no, not going to happen.
That's too much stuff to take outside.
Yeah, it is. As one who does it outside, there's a lot of equipment you got to bring. And I just had to smack my head one time because I forgot the one most important figure I had. Like, I usually write a list, and then that one day I forgot that figure on the list. And I was like, well, I have to adjust at this point.
Yep.
A lot of adjustments in photography. That's what I learned.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right, so our last big question here, and this one is kind of just to make you think a little bit.
Uh-oh.
If you could create your own Star Wars character, who would it be and why?
Star Wars character. Holy crap.
This question stumps everybody that we ask.
Yeah, because if you didn't see it, if it wasn't really wasn't truly in the movie, right now they've got figures on almost everybody now.
Mm-hmm.
At least to my knowledge, they do. I don't know. I mean, that would stomp everybody because it's kind of like it was not a figure out there, or not a that's even mentioned that I'm aware of. I don't know. That's a good one. That is really a good one.
Yeah, makes you think.
It really does make you think. I mean, the one thing I think that, and maybe they'll get to it, is they've addressed everything, but really the true origins of Yoda and the backstory there that's a movie right there.
Exactly. I'm waiting on the day we see an R-rated Vader film.
Nowadays, it would be, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and they'd all be X-rated by today's standards, I think.
Yes.
So it's give me a break.
Well, so but I would love to see a Yoda backstory.
There's no one single figure that I could point to, but I mean, as far as something along those lines, that's what I would think would be the most, and that'd be something that everybody could get on, because there's nobody there to really hate.
Yep.
Yet.
I was about to say, not yet.
Not yet. There would be somebody, because there has to be. Why else would they have created everything? So, and why is there only one? Is there only one?
Well, I don't know if you've watched the Mandalorian or not.
I have.
Yeah. So we've learned a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, but see, his people. Who are his people?
Right.
They returned him but he came back. But still, it's like, okay, they've got to explore that. And this is after
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, and all that happened beforehand. So it's got time wise. So you've got to figure out. It's kind of like, they're going to address this.
I think they need to.
They need to.
I think they need to.
They need to keep going the way they're going, I think, and make screw ups along the way, and get people's inputs, and they're going to do it.
Right.
Okay, I mean, people they really got turned off by the episode 1. Okay, fine and dandy, and episode 2 and 3, but they keep help the story.
Right. That's all it is storytelling.
It's just a story, people. It's not a way of life. It's not a religion. Not really. And so if it is a religion, it's a really made up one. So it's kind of like, okay, it's a wannabe. Okay, it'd be nice if it was all like that, but unfortunately it's not. So it's it's a great entertainment value. And that's really what it's all about. It's entertainment.
And as long as there's people like me around, I'm going to watch anything Star Wars. So.
Yeah, I'm there except for the cartoons. Now, that's just me personally.
Right.
Might have something to do with age, but then again, I talk to other guys I know. Stephen Constantino, I think, is the guy who played one of the
Gamorrean Guard.
And he goes, you got to look at those, Kim. You got to look at those. Okay,
Yeah. And speaking of which, I know that Stephen Constantino is going to be at ICC Con this next weekend. Will you be there?
Oh yeah.
Oh great!
Yeah.
I will meet you in person then.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to come up. Yeah, I actually did my. Well, here you go. You already know about the poster that I did with the barge. And I actually have two versions. One that was going to come with the Volume 4 if it ever makes the Kickstarters, which is why we did a 2.0. Be very limited, but that's right. But at the same time, I have that final poster, which first time ever I've had a friend of mine, do a little CGI work on it. So he's got the dust, and he created the Sarlacc mouth coming out of it. I already had the tentacles there, had all that done. So then he had to just come up with everything else, and the dust and he put 2 suns up. He goes, "Kim, you don't have any suns up there," and I go, "Yeah, I know." He said, "Do you want me to go ahead and put 2 suns up there?" Well, yeah, it's done. I mean, literally, it was done. He goes, "What do you want me to do? You've got everything." No. You've got the dust and the heat blasts coming out, so they're hovering, and a few little, the suns, and you can do that. And, whatever you look at, and got to create because I had the Boba Fett hanging up in here. So, okay, that's there. And I go, but I did another version as well. Okay. And I said, so they both need to be treated different because they're subtle. There's just a subtle shift. Oh, you did do that, didn't you? Yeah, I did. I wanted a little. But what I did is on the one that I'm selling down there, the other one only comes with the book. It's not going to be printed otherwise, at least at this point in time. I did a custom figures from this Mac Brookins, and that's got his custom painted figures in it. And Boba Fett is Michael Havens.
That's awesome.
Flying through up in the air with no helmet.
Oh, that's even better.
How would you know it was Mike Havens if he had a helmet on?
Right, that's hilarious. Yeah, we actually had him on the show a while back, and he was saying, Boba Fett is my favorite character.
Oh, yes.
Boba Fett this, Boba Fett that, but it'll be nice to actually meet you in person and talk to you there, because I will be there, but unfortunately, Danny is not going to be able to make it. So.
You can't make it to ICCC.
I know. I've been wanting to go to that event, but unfortunately, the troubles with scheduling.
Yeah, I know.
I can't go to that.
It's a really, Mike puts on or the people in Mike put on a fantastic show. They really do. Mm-hmm. And they've got some really dynamite guests coming in.
Yep, hopefully we'll be able to talk to quite a few of them, but Stephen Constantino is most likely going to be on our show eventually, so.
Oh, yeah, he will. I mean, he's a great guy. He really is. We hang together in the green room, so it's kind of cool. I'm considered a guest there too. So it's kind of fun and it's nice. And but you've got to go to that ICCC. It's a fantastic show. It really is.
This is actually my first time going to this convention. I actually didn't know it was around until a few months ago.
Now wait a minute. Where are you coming from? Where you live?
I am from Alabama.
And I come from Los Angeles in California, so I'm gonna be going to the one in Anaheim.
But Alabama. I figured you were in Alabama because that's where my wife is from. I could hear the.
Oh yeah, you heard the accent.
I heard the accent. My wife has lost hers after 40-some years, so most of it anyway. Every now and then you can hear it.
Yes.
But that's nowhere. You didn't know about it, and you're from Alabama. That's like
I didn't know about it. It is. It's 3 hours away from my house.
I mean, that's next door neighbor stuff. Come on.
It is, but we've had a blast talking to you. Like you're such a great guest for us to have because we started in toys, and now we're here with our own show, still doing toys, and
that's great. I think it's great you guys are doing it. I think you are.
Thank you.
It's dynamite. I really do.
Thank you very much. But so that's about as long as we're going to keep you for. So we'll let you get back to doing.
That's up to you guys. I can stand here and talk forever. You do know that, don't you?
Oh, we would, but unfortunately, our timer is about to run out. So.
I know you got 2 minutes. You got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, we need to upgrade to the Pro, but
Hey.
There you go. There you go.
I know where it's at. So I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. I enjoy doing these podcasts. So yeah, and so I mean, you can see in the background. See this guy up here? I did steel too.
Nice.
I created that.
Hey, well, you're more than welcome to come back on our show at any time. Just give us a holler. You know where to find us.
No, you know where to find me. All you got, Kim. I got a slot to fill. Okay, sure.
Hey, there you go. Now we got a regular guest.
No problem. I can do it.
Awesome.
I can do it.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show. We've had a blast. So until next weekend,
All right.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
Sometime I'll get out to LA, then you'll have to see me.
I will. I will come to LA. I'll be there.
All right, then.
All right. Take it easy.
You have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Alright, that's going to do it for Rodian Radio here tonight. Special thanks to everyone who's been listening to us. If you can't get enough Rodian Radio on a weekly basis, we're available everywhere on podcast platforms, at least all the major ones. Apple, Google, Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. We're there 24/7 at Rodian Radio Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube. Give us likes, comment. You know, you probably get tired of hearing the same thing over and over about like, comment, subscribe, but it really does help us break the algorithm so we can reach more Star Wars fans just like yourself. Really appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to this episode of Rodian Radio. Quick shout out to our sponsor again, Dr. Awesome. You can find him on Instagram. You can find us if you want to send us your questions or topics to talk about in future shows. You can send us your emails at RodianradioPC@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on Instagram at Rodian Radio Podcast. You can find us at Twitter at PC Rodian. And once again, we really appreciate everyone checking us out. If your podcatcher of choice allows you to leave a review, we really appreciate all the reviews, and we will read every review out on the air live as we record. But until next week, or unless scheduling changes, this has been Rodian Radio. May the Force be with you.